Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Ash, but you can call me Hooby, and this little pussy tat is Lotus. Don't turn around like I said your name over there. I said your name here. Today is the 7th of July for me, probably not for you unless you're watching this in a year's time or 2 years time or 3 years time or 4 years time, or I'm going to keep going. You get the point. Which makes it the first day of HRCYED, hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. Earlier this month, I spun a wheel to decide which prompt I was starting on, and I'm starting with Food Pyramid. I'm a little upset because I forgot to borrow one of the library books and someone else has borrowed it now, so I have to wait. So that probably won't be available for this week that I'm recording this vlog. And another one I'm first in the queue for, but no specific date for it whatsoever. And then there's another one that's due to be released to me near the end of the month. So, but I did already think that I was going to start with Lilith, which I have. It's available on Kobo Plus. So I have it on my Kobo and everything. I've got my water, I've got my coffee, which does look a bit grim, but I promise you it isn't. Got my Kobo, got my remote, and I have my cat as well. And you may or may not be able to hear purr. So I'm happy to get going. Let's go, hey? So I can't remember what exactly I said about Lilith before, so I might repeat myself here a little bit, but it's a feminist retelling of the Bible, and it actually spanned for longer than I was expecting and started with a common trigger event, which if you know the Jewish folklore of Lilith, it shouldn't surprise you, but I didn't, so it did. It's mildly soured the beginning of the book for me, but that was definitely my expectations and not the book itself. If it didn't stick to the Jewish folklore with that one thing, it wouldn't make sense. I just didn't know it. Hello, happy next day. It is now Wednesday and I finished Lilith last night, so I didn't get a chance to record about it, but obviously that's what I'm doing now. That's what I'm here for. And it was so clear throughout that the author had done her research, and it's also clear at the back of the book where she's got all the different things from, and I just loved that. I thoroughly enjoyed that, you know, seeing the receipts and everything. I haven't read all the Bible, but it did always fascinate me as deities and the like do. So I know a fair amount, and the bits I enjoyed most were the takes on the stories that I already knew. There is one story that I've read numerous times in different editions that had a little nod to it, which I was both happy and sad about. Happy that it was mentioned, sad that it was only a nod. But to be fair, I don't know how she would have been able to fit that in anyway, and doing every single tale in the Bible would probably have been a bit much. It was just happens to be one that I've read a lot that didn't get mentioned a lot, that's all. I've been trying to decide whether to give it 5 stars or 4.5 stars. I'm not entirely sure what's making me think 4.5 rather than 5. I think it might be because there was a bit that felt a little bit slow to me, but that was also when I was at my most tired whilst reading, so that's more likely to be the reason rather than the book, and I can hardly blame the book for that. But I found no plot holes, no errors that weren't the usual typing errors, of which I think I only found 1 or 2, which is pretty good, to be honest. There are usually at least 1, but usually 3 or more in my experience. As you can probably tell, I am very happy with my first book for HRCYED. I'm not going to go into all the different prompts I'm going to use it for. I'll do that as part of the wrap up at the end of the month. But I'm doing Food Pyramid, so you know it's there. I do have a bit of an issue where none of the books that I put on hold at the library for this prompt have come through yet. But the HRCYED community pulled through in that I got a recommendation for a book with lots of food on. Well, the server as a whole did. It's called Queers at the Table. I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what it's about. It's sort of queer history with recipes or something like that. It's got a lot of food on the cover, so I'm excited to try this out. It's also not terribly long, so if it's not my thing, it's not a lot of time I'm wasting on it, which is a good thing for me. So I'm just going to put my Kobo there, one moment, and then I'm just about ready to go. I'll probably talk again when it's over, especially since it's reasonably short. It's essentially lots of essays by different queer people that are all centered around food, as well as some comics. At least one of the comics was made specifically for the book. I don't know if all of them are made specifically for the book. And then at the end, like the last almost third of it is just recipes. There's a little bit of a story on each of the recipes. Sorry about the sound of the works going on outside. I'm not sure how much the microphone will be picking up. Hopefully not a lot. But if it's too much, then like all my videos, there will be subtitles available so you can put them on. But I have just finished reading Queers at the Table, and I'm not sure what I was expecting. I will be completely honest. What it was to me, it was quite similar to Disability Visibility, which I read in February. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, that will be in my February wrap-up video. There were more recipes that were close to something that I could eat than I was expecting. None of them would require me changing 0 ingredients. I have a lot of food intolerances. I was expecting that there wouldn't be any, but there is one that I just have to change out 1 ingredient, and I was like, this never happens. They tried to make it as accessible as possible. That wasn't the word I was going to use, but I can't think what the word I was going to use was. Some of the articles, essays, whatever, did go a little bit over my head. Some of them talked a bit about agriculture and stuff, which is obviously part of the food process, therefore it's linked to queer food, but it just went over my head a little bit. I don't know if I'd been going in reading 1 essay at a time, I would have been able to take that in a bit more, whether it was because I just read this in 2 straight sittings. I paused for lunch, basically. Not because it was food, because it was lunchtime. It didn't make me hungry. I just needed food because it was the time to eat food. I think my favourite bits were mostly the comics, but there were some of the essays that really spoke to me as well. One of the comics was just very, like, on point for me. It does start by her saying that they want to have a baby, and that's why all this stuff happened. That's not me. But the rest of it, she talked about how she had to change what she eats because of her endometriosis. And she said that she became vegetarian as a child. And I forgot to turn the sound off on my phone. Sorry, one moment. And she talked about how there's the grief of when you can no longer eat foods, essentially. I will say that it seems like one of the foods she had to give up was dairy, and I am very lucky in that I do not have that problem. For endometriosis and lots of other disabilities as well, it's recommended to go on a low FODMAP diet, but different people actually have different reactions to different ones on that. It's more sort of, if you're going to do an elimination diet, you sort of go to none of the high FODMAP foods and then you slowly introduce them. And if you start getting pain on one of them, then you stop having that for a bit and then try another one and all that sort of thing. It's why I can't have gluten, for instance, although I used to be able to have gluten. So it is possible that at some point I won't be able to have dairy, but I'm hoping that won't be the case. Anyway, I've gone off track a bit. The book is non-fiction, obviously, in case you couldn't tell, which I knew but didn't know. So I knew what it was about going in, but it was only while I was reading that I was like, hey, this is another non-fiction book. I don't really read non-fiction. I'm reading non-fiction. I don't know. So if it weren't for HRCYED, I wouldn't have read this. And that's sort of doing what HRCYED is for, broadening my reading horizons and all of that. So that's quite interesting to me. For what food I'm using this for, I don't know just yet because it's got lots of different types of food on it. So it depends on what I end up reading for the other squares, essentially. For now, Lilith is as fruit, but if I decide to then use it for 2 different prompts that includes not using the food pyramid, then I will have fruit available, potentially. So I'm not going to give it a star rating. I didn't do that with the last non-fiction book I read. I don't think that I'm really capable of giving star ratings to non-fiction books because how do you rate someone's experience? You know? There was another comic that I almost cried at as well. I do think it was really good. If that sounds like your sort of thing, I would recommend it. If it doesn't sound like your sort of thing, but you want to give it a go, you might still enjoy it. But I wouldn't actively recommend it to someone for whom it's not their sort of thing. Which I suppose I could say is the case for most books, to be fair. There are some books that I'd be like, even if this isn't your sort of thing, try it. If you still don't like it, fair enough, but this is like really good. But they're few and far between, and I wouldn't expect every book to be like that, or even every book that I love or would give 5 stars to. I don't expect them to be like that. I'm going off track a little bit. I will say that both Quiz the Table and Lilith are on Kobo Plus. That's how I'm reading them on my Kobo. Kobo Plus has a free trial, and this isn't sponsored. And after that, it is either £8.99 or £11.99 a month, depending on whether you want the subscription that's just ebooks, the subscription that's just audiobooks, or the one that's both. And this next book that I'm reading, because I still don't have access to the library books, of course, because it's the same day, is called Tusks, Tales and Tea Cakes, I believe, and it is also a Kobo Plus book. The cover on Kobo Plus isn't the cover I'm going to be using for the challenge. So it's available on Spotify, and that has a different cover on there, which fits the prompts that I want to use it for. So first of all, there are side quests in HRCYED. So each month there's going to be a different prompt that has to be completed within that month, and then you get a reward for it. The prompts this month, there are 2 options, and you get a different reward depending on which option you choose. There's alliteration, which has to have at least 3. So tusks, tails and tea cakes fits, because that's 3. Or a teal/blue-green cover, which the other cover counts as, and that cover has, you know, a tea cake on it, which is why I'm reading it, listening to it, whatever, as part of the Food Pyramid reading vlog. So I'm going to get on that, not right this moment. I'm going to let that book settle a little bit, and then I will be back once I've done that, which will probably be not today. First of all, please excuse what I look like, but the heat wave do be heat waving right now. Just a little bit has been difficult to concentrate and difficult to sleep. So that links into this reading vlog, because I was expecting/hoping to read more this week, but I didn't take into consideration the fact that the heat wave makes it difficult to concentrate and difficult to sleep. And both of those things mean that it's more difficult to read. But 3 isn't too bad, because I have just finished Tusks, Tales and Tea Cakes. I forgot what it was called then for a moment. And I was worried it was going to be too like Legends and Lattes. Don't get me wrong, I loved Legends and Lattes, but I don't want something like Legends and Lattes that isn't Legends and Lattes, or at least by the same author. And it is a little bit like Legends and Lattes, but it's not overly so. It's closer to a mix between that and The Spell Shop, and I loved both of those, so it was all good with me. It is called a slice of life cozy romance fantasy romance, something like that. And yeah, the romance was there, but it wasn't in your face sort of thing. It wasn't a romance with fantasy elements, which again, nothing against that. I enjoy a romance with fantasy elements. I'm just describing what this was, not saying there's anything wrong with anything else. It was completely spice-free, so completely suitable for, probably not all age ranges. Like a 3-year-old reading that would probably struggle, but it wasn't. It's safe. It's safe. There were just a couple of loose ends at the end, which are ones that are all right being left, but also would be nice to be tied up in the same way that lots of beginning of trilogies or series in general do. So I think there is going to be another one, perhaps focused on different characters. And I am looking forward to, first of all, finding out whether that's true, and second of all, reading that at some point when I do. None of my library holds have come off hold yet, so I don't know what I'm reading next, but I do think that 3 books is enough for a reading vlog, and also it is Friday, so the week's over, the week is done, so it's fine for me to be done at 3 books. As for star rating for it, I'm tempted for a 5, but I don't want to say for sure. I can't think of any errors there were, but I do notice them less when it's an audiobook, because it was an audiobook. So I don't necessarily want to rate it, to be honest, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. D&D tavern with tea cakes and baking and stuff, and I just really enjoyed it. Yeah, there was some world building behind it. There's the sort of world building of where it's like, oh yeah, you've taken D&D and this is D&D sort of thing. You didn't build this world sort of thing. But there is also world building alongside that. Don't get me wrong, D&D worlds are like built, but I mean I've heard people saying that some world building in D&D style books, it feels very much like they didn't actually build the world, they've just taken the guides and done it, which I don't have anything against anyway, but I'm just saying that this world building is also good. The characterization is good. I don't think any of them felt too similar. I didn't get lost on who anyone was because they were too similar. I mean, there was a pair of brothers, but like they're brothers, you expect them to be similar. That's kind of different. And they weren't overly similar anyway, I don't think. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you got this far in the video, then comments below or to the side or wherever the comment section is on whatever device you're on, and comment with either just your favourite food emoji or your favourite food. And we can see whether we can chat about food in the comments doing the food pyramid. In case it wasn't clear, I've done this for dessert, I believe. There are a couple of things that aren't quite dessert on the cover, if I remember correctly. It's not the cover that I've been listening to, so I have to actively look up the cover to look at it. And then I will hopefully later this week or early next week, it's Friday, hopefully read some more of the food pyramid ones, because hopefully they'll come off hold, at the very least by the end of the month. Now, it is far too hot for me to think or do anything. I need the fan on again, but I had to turn it off for sound. I didn't want to potentially mess up the sound, so yeah. Thank you for watching. If you want to, please like and subscribe, and maybe we'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.